Hello, welcome to my channel A Book Forest. My name is Kim and today I'm going to be doing my top 10 favorite reads of 2024. I'm a bit late to the party. I think most people do it in January or at the end of December. But I wanted to let the reads that I had in 2024 rest a bit, decant a bit, so that I would not have recency bias too much. And yeah, it worked. So I'm gonna start with number 10 and going up to number 1. So number 10 is Animal Farm by George Orwell. I misplaced my copy. I don't know where it is. My library is like an anthill. It's awful. It's like a mess. So sometimes I misplace a few books in the piles. But yeah, this is a placeholder because I also like 1984. But Animal Farm, when I first read it, I was lukewarm. But then the more I thought about it, the more I let it rest. I was thinking about it a lot. And I think it's a perfect little book, really. It's very short, so very no fat in it. It's like an allegory, which I usually don't like, but this one is really well done. So of course, if you don't know the history of the rise of communism in Russia, it's a bit more difficult to enjoy, I'm sure. I'm familiar enough with the history to have enjoyed it, and I think it's at the same time it's heartbreaking, very very sad, and it makes you angry, but it's also quite funny. So that's quite a feat. I mean, the pigs getting into alcohol was really funny. So yeah, he succeeded in a lot of what he was attempting, I think. So George Orwell, kudos to you, another banger. Then my number 9 was Dreamer's Pool by Juliette Marillier. So my next read is the sequel to this. It's a trilogy. It's called Blackthorn and Grimm. And I've talked about it a bit in other videos, but I really enjoyed Juliette Marillier's world. She's always doing something a bit ethereal, dreamlike, set in the Dark Ages, with fairies and lore, like Irish myths and legends, mixed in with the real people. And her characters are always very deeply emotional. Like they're well enough established. Like she makes you care for her characters, and they're not cookie cutter. So I really enjoy that. Her main character in this is Blackthorn. She's a very very broken woman. She's had some terrible events in her life, and she's kind of ruled, like she wants to do things but she can't. Like she wants to get revenge for what was done to her, but she can't because the fairies, the Tuatha De Danann, helped her escape prison, and she has to repay them by giving them 7 years of service to the people. So she has to do anything that people ask her to do, and she cannot get revenge. That's kind of like the rule that she has to follow. Otherwise, she's gonna go back to where she came from, in prison. So yeah, I'm really eager to follow up with this. That was a bit like a mystery as well. So that was interesting. There's magic involved, of course. It's really lovely. I'm curious to see what she does next in this series. Then you have my number 8, which is I'm Afraid You've Got Dragons. I did a review for this one, so I'll link that down below. That was fairy tale-esque. You know, he wrote, Peter Beagle wrote The Last Unicorn, and it's lovely, very well written. He has a way with words. So yeah, but the story itself is simple, but the characters more and more complex the further you go into it, and I enjoy that very much. And the main character, Robert, I loved him. Like, I had a crush on him, I think. He's lovely. So yeah, I'll link that the review if you want to know more about it. But if you like Like, for example, if you like, of course, Last Unicorn or Princess Bride, I would recommend this book. Then my number 7 was My Year of Sanderson. So I read most of the Cosmere in 2024, except for Miss Bourne, which I had read before. And The Sunded Man was my favorite of the secret projects that he did. It's very fast paced, and I enjoyed it. It's a neat world, neat planet, very, very interesting. Very small planet with a very big sun, so you have to escape the sun. So you have to go around the planet all day long. And the main character is someone we've seen before in other works, but very, very different. Like, he's completely changed because of what happened to him. And the people on this planet are, I would call them pacifists mostly. They don't do violence, and they have also a very interesting origin. They originate from a world that was expanded in one of the short stories, and I love that world. It was so fascinating. So yeah, all in all, the bad guy was not the best part, but usually, with some exceptions, it's like sometimes Brandon Sanderson's bad guys are kind of, yeah, like Elantris. But yeah, it's not about the bad guy. It's really about the human connections and maybe softening your barriers that you put up to defend yourself, and why is it worth living? what is your purpose? Yeah, so yeah, lovely. And then my number 6 was an arc that I got. It's called She Who Knows by Nnedi Okorafor. It's part of the Who Fears Death series. So the first book, Who Fears Death, is a novel, and that I would recommend starting there if you're going to read it. It's post-apocalyptic, set in Africa. There's magic involved, also science and religion. So it's very interesting, and she has Okorafor has an angle on all of that that's very original, I thought. And the She Who Knows is a prequel to that. So She Who Knows is about Onyesonwu, who fears death, a young woman, and she has a destiny, and we see her going through like a coming of age. And then She Who Knows, which I loved, it's a novella, and it's her mother when she was young, before she had her daughter. And it's also a coming of age. So yeah, Okorafor is really good at that. And the world is really original. I really liked it. And my next book in that series is another arc. She's coming out with another book with the same character, so Najiba, with Onyesonwu's mother. And I think now it's set after what happened in Who Fears Death. So I'm really, really curious to see that. And I also have a couple more to read from that series. So great covers. Sorry. Cold season. Then my number 5 was The Godmakers by Frank Herbert. So I also did a review for that one, so I'll link that down below if you want to watch it. The Godmakers is the first book that is outside of the Dune series that I read from Frank Herbert, and it's not my last because I really enjoyed that. I wasn't expecting to like it so much. I think people rate it lower usually, but it was really, it gives you some vibes from Dune. Like, of course, it's the same author, so some themes were similar, and yeah, you definitely know it's him. But it was a bit different, and it was a bit more lighthearted, bit more, it was vignettes, I would call them. You have a few story arcs going on with the same character over the years, and you see what's going on with him and what's his deal is. But yeah, the character was fun, and yeah, watch the review. It's just, if you like Frank Herbert, absolutely read this. Then my number 4 was The Alpine Path by Lucy Maud Montgomery. So it's an autobiography, so she wrote it herself. One of my favorite authors of all time. This is something that was asked for of her. Like they wanted her to retell what how her career started. And she started by talking about her childhood. Obviously, if you've read any of her books, you know that most of them are with children. Most of them are orphans, like Anne of Green Gables. And Lucy Montgomery definitely picked from her childhood to write her stories. And she, when you have a favorite blanket or something very, very comforting, something you love, and you thought you had all of it, but then you realize, oh, there's more, because I've read all of her books, except for this and her journals. So yeah, next I'm going to read her journals. I love her writing. It's just achingly beautiful. The most beautiful worlds that she creates. Like it's set in real life, but idealized. Yeah, she has a way with to make me feel so good. So if you like Lucy Montgomery, I recommend this. Then my number 3 is another novella. It's from Brandon Sanderson. It's In the Arcanum Unbounded. It's called The Emperor's Soul, and it's beautiful. I think it's perfect. To me, he nailed it. It's the main character is interesting. She's a thief, and she's also an artist, and you don't really know what her deal is. Like the way her magic system is really interesting. I think he was talking about art, and although he's not the most brilliant technical writer in the world, I think he has a lot of imagination, so he does have a voice in this setting. Like he tells how he sees art, I think. It's 2 characters. They're antagonists. One is the thief, and the other one is the one holding her prisoner, and he wants something from her, and she wants to escape. So it's a tug of war, and it's a push and pull, and it's I'm gonna give you this if you give me this, but they kind of get not close, but they get each other at the end. So and the whole story is about the art project that she's starting, which is also her magic system, and it is also a way that she steals. So very interesting. I loved it. Recommend it. If you want to start with Brandon Sanderson, you don't know where, you don't want to read a big chunker, this would be a very good place to start. The Emperor's Soul. Then my second book, my runner-up, is Oathbringer. So again, by Brandon Sanderson. Sorry. I love this book. It's the 3rd book in the Stormlight Archive, and it's mainly focused on Dalinar, which is my favorite character in the series. So that's why I love this book so much. It goes back into his past. Very difficult subject matter. Sorry. And I love the ending as well. Epic ending. Like Brandon Sanderson. I can't tell a lot about the story in this book because it's the 3rd book in the series, but Stormlight Archive is really amazing. It's epic, and there's some deep emotions and some very, very super battles. I love it so much. And then my voice is going because I have a cold, so I'm going to talk very my favorite book of the year is the Fiona of Our Tapestry. I've mentioned it before. It's one of the last books I read last year, and it blew my socks off. It knocked me. I cannot believe how much I love this. So I also did a separate review for this book, so I'll just link that down below if you want to know more. But that got me into wanting to read everything that Guy Gabriel Kay has written, and I'm at the beginning of my journey with him because I'm going to read him all year long. I'm just really having fun. So yeah, those are my top 10s of the year 2024. Let me know what your favorite book of 2024 was, or if any of those books were in your top 10, or if you want to read any of them. So thank you and see you next time.